There we are. Good evening and welcome to night 2 of Bunny Bash. So we had a good start last night and made the cute little bunny tea light holders. So I love doing them. I hope you loved them. They were the miniature of this. So I don't know if I can show you that better tonight. So that was an old pattern K131. So we just duplicated it, shrunk it down, and now it's a baby. So that was really fun to do. So this one has an electric candle in it, and this one just has a timer tea light. So, and I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late. My event, I go live through my event post. You know, I created the event. It's gone. Like it was gone when I pulled up my page. I was having an awful time and in a big panic. So I kept thinking, wish Megan was here so she could tell me on her laptop. So, but Miss Megan is not in the house tonight. She's at her house, which I know that's like a bummer, but she's still large and in charge on the keyboard. So she's still here. So I should have just got the bubble gun to blow bubbles at myself, but we'll have fun in spite of her not being here. But anyway, this is the tea light, the 2 tea lights. So I showed you those last night. That was the samples that I did. Let me flip it so I'm not backwards. So that's the samples that we did. So that is the little gray one. So this is the one I painted last night live with you all. And so I finished it up so so you could see it. So that's, I told you about, like, I love to paint bells to match whatever I'm doing. So that's like the little pastel bell. And so we did the darker muzzle, which I've never done before. I always do a lighter muzzle. So anyway, but that's how he is. So what do you think? Do you like him? Do you think he's cute? So that was the 3 colors, which it's hard to show you, but that is the 3 colors that we had. So anyway, do you have a favorite? We had tan, gray, and then white. Mary, I wouldn't even be surprised. I couldn't, mine when it first came up was totally blurry. So I don't know what was going on. So anyway, so that's last night. So I wanted you to see that with the bell and see how that turned out. So he's darling. Thank you. So cute. Thank you, Amy. So that turned out, and it was just really fun. I have loved creating those little guys. So this one has yellowed over the years, but it was buttermilk, you know, because it was more primitive back in the day. So that's why he's really probably more yellowish than he was originally. But there's all the ones that we've done. So you can kind of see the 3 colors. So I meant to grab a couple more votives over there. I might have to get up and grab one, but anyway, Patty, you like the white and gray. Gray is your favorite. So, yeah, I like them all tan, but they're all adorable. So, yep. So anyway, so that's what we did. So, that was last night's. So thank you for everyone that joined me. Thank you for everyone that sold or that bought a shirt. I think we have sold 60% of them. So if you haven't grabbed one and you want one, they're in sage green. You can go back and watch the beginning of the video last night. Megan and I show the shirts and kind of the sizing and all that. So if you want to check this is coral that I have on, and it's a medium, and then Megan had on the sage green, which is a beautiful green. So make sure you grab one of those. If you want them, you can only order those through Thursday, and then that cuts off. So all right, so let me show you what we're doing tonight. And I didn't want to do this project tonight. I didn't want these 2 to be back to back, but I had to switch it around for some various reasons. So, but it's fine. But tomorrow night's project is fabulous. Like, you are going to love it. So don't miss tomorrow night. I think you're going to love it. So anyway, but this is what we're doing tonight. This is what we're making tonight. So let me get it up here so you can see. So, I'll see if I can show it. So we're going to make a sheep tea light tonight. So this is an older pattern as well, but I just I changed a little bit on it, but basically it's the same. But that's him. He has texture. This is all textured, which is hard to tell on here, but it's all textured. And this little base, but this is all raised, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Can you tell from that angle that it's raised? And this is all raised. So this is all 3D'd. So really, really fun. Really, really fun little sheep. So and then I love to paint the votives. We did that for Christmas in July and for some fall scarecrow ones. So yeah, Megan, I hope he owes me. Like, he owes me. He'll be like, yeah, whatever, Mom. Anyway, so that is the lamb. So that's what we're going to work on tonight. And I think it's really cute. One of the really, really cute things, oh shoot, I meant to grab the pack of bells so I could show them to you. But aren't these bells so cute? If you watch my stories, and if you don't, if you tap, like if you're on my Facebook page and you look up, always in that upper left-hand corner, there's a picture of me in a circle. If you tap that circle picture of me, that will always take you to my stories. So if you don't watch them, like I do stories almost every day for just stuff I'm doing going on. But I showed you one day where I was spray painting some bells, and that's what they were for. Can you hear it? Isn't it so cute? So I love his bell. So, well, her bell. Her bell. So anyway, but you probably can't see it well. I wish I had a better way to set it down and show you, because it's just straight against me and it's hard to, I know it's hard to see. But anyway, it's really cute. So I think it's cute. So this is, we did the little stencil, the little sheep blocks a couple weeks ago, and I showed you how to do that texture on there. So we're going to use that, but we're also going to add more texture to it, which is fun. So this is a primitive one that I did with just the bigger sheep stencil, but I did the same technique on it, but I just did this one in a primitive style, where this one was more white and gray. So let's get started and get to painting it. He's fun to do. So I have my camera flipped a different way tonight, and then I did that, and then I didn't flip myself upside down. Let's see if I've got it. Who knows? Hang on while we jiggle around there a bit. So I'll try to lay it. Maybe you can see better when I put it down like that. You can see how that texture is on it. Isn't that fun? It's really fun to do that. And I love his head, like all the curls and the texture on it. Isn't that cute? So, but you don't have to add that if you don't want. You could just do it like we did the sheep blocks and just palette knife it. Oh dear. Oh, there it is. I thought, oh no, I forgot my thing downstairs. You could absolutely just use a palette knife and put you can use heavy body paint. I like to use modeling paste, and I showed you all that when we did the sheep block, and that's all in I added that to my Amazon Bunny Bash list that you can find in Linktree. And you can add any color, any paint to this, which then makes it a really thick, heavy body paint. So I just did white on this one. So here is how the blank comes. So these two glue on top of each other to make a thicker base. And you can paint it any color. This one, I just did white. And then I loved using like that little bit of polka dot in the same color that I was using in the candle and the flower. So I thought that was sort of cute to do that. So, so we're just going to work on his body and his legs and get that going. And I don't have a palette started. I should have had, but I was too busy kind of panicking over not having an event post. I ended up finding it the strangest way, like going through like how you all would find it. And it still wasn't listed on my page. I found it down in a drop down thing. It was crazy. I don't know what happened. It was there yesterday, but I don't know. Okay, so I had a couple people ask me this, and I always forget to say, because most of you know my fingers have so much paint on them. This is, I always wet a paper towel, and I've done that for as long as I can remember, years and years and years. I always just wet a paper towel and put my paints on top of that. And it just kind of helps keep them a little bit fresher longer. So that's why I do that. So I'm going to put some black out because we need that for his legs. And some white for the inside of his ears. And then I'm basically going to use the same colors that I did last night for the ears, the cottage rose. We'll go in and use that. So I don't have to base paint his body necessarily because I'm going to cover that in spackle. Now we did on the sheet block, I went ahead and painted it because it helps define the line. But on this, since it's a 3D cutout, wood cutout, we don't have to do that. So let me get some white or some black here. And we will get going. We can get this project started. I'm trying to move stuff out of my way. So I'm just going to tap this in on the legs and just kind of, there's a line there. And I'm going to be careful. I mean, you can be careful about it, but it doesn't really matter because now if you're just painting it and you're not going to use the heavy body paint, or spackling, you could use spackling too, then you will need to pay attention to that line. If you're just painting it, then you'll need to, definitely pay attention to that line. But since we are not, we can be a little bit messy about that and not worry about it because that's going to come down over it. That's going to kind of overlap. His fur's not going to, is that what it would be called? That's not fur. His wool. That's not what I want to say either. I can't think of the word. It wouldn't just stop in a straight line, so it's gonna lap down over that. And then with his ear or his face, we're gonna do the whole face except this bottom part where his ears are. But we're just gonna do all that black. And let's see. So, like I said, you can just paint it regular and not add the dimension to it. I just think it looks really, it's fun to do, and it's also it's not only fun to do, but I think it looks really neat. I just like how it looks. So hopefully you'll give it a try. And I said you could use spackling. I think I like I feel like the heavy bodied, like using the modeling paste, like with paint. I feel like it gives a really good smooth, especially if you're going to pipe with it. It's really smooth. Where spackling is a little bit, I don't know how to explain how it is, more airy or more, I'm not sure how to explain that. But it will work. The patch and paint is the best one to use. There's a big difference between that and regular spackling, I think, in my opinion. So I don't know why I did that. I already tapped all that in. So we're just going to go up here and go in the ear area. And we don't really have to worry about that line right there, the one that separates the head, because that will also be covered with spackling. So we just kind of have to worry about the ear, and then we'll fill that in with white. And I'm also going to fill the tail in with white because I did not put any spackling on it. I left it just kind of so it stood back a little bit, I guess for the dimension of it. So I did not put any spackling back here. So it looks like it's a little bit standing back. So that's all. You really have to paint black on that one. We'll just kind of just do it a little bit. I'm trying to wipe my brush off before I clunk it in the water so I didn't bring 2 water jars in, and I should have. Okay. Now, one thing you might be thinking about is, do you want to do this one white, the same as this? Or do you, in this one I did white and gray, shaded in gray. Or do you want to do it white and shade it like more warm colored with brown? Or do you want to do the whole sheep more of an off-white, buttermilky look and have it be more antique-y looking, so, or primitive-y looking? So think about what you, kind of think what you'd like to have for that. What you would like me to do. If you would like it to just be white and then do it with brown, since we already did the gray, shade and brown, or just do the whole sheep more of a primitive look. Tell me what you think. You love your Snoopy. It broke. I was using it as a prop. He broke. I don't even know how he broke. His head bobbles. So I brought him in here. I need to glue him. And he's still laying here. So I'm just using it to prop that sheep up. So tell me what you think. If you think M&Ms. I was sitting there thinking I'd love to have some M&Ms. And it came right out of my mouth. Oh my word. Tell me if you want me to do primitive or white. Good night. We always have a bowl of M&Ms, like always. That's just staple on our counter. It has been for years and years and years. That's why I have millions of, I already did white with gray. That one's this. I did white with gray. So I was either going to do white with brown or do it primitive and do the sheep more cream. So I wanted to show a different way. That's what I was trying to gauge. Like this is kind of white and brown, so it looks warmer, where the other one looks cooler. So that's what I was either going to do it that way or do it all more cream. Kind of more cream like that. So that's what I was asking, like do it more primitive or do it white and brown. So it'd be cream and brown or white and brown. That's how I should have said it. And then maybe you would have understood what I was saying, because that was not clear at all, was it? So again, that line I am going to pay attention to and make sure I stop at it. So there's that. And we'll coat that again real quick. I'm trying to hurry so we can get to the fun part. Okay. So that's basically all we have to do on that. So now we're going to do some shading. Maybe. So I'm going to shade or float, shade, whatever. I need a baby wipe. So I'm going to use my angle shader and just put that point right in the white. And I use a baby wipe kind of to fan it out. And then I'm going to do both sides. Normally I just do the left side in the lighter, but I'm going to do both sides because it's black and I kind of just want to do both sides to add just a little bit to him. And you don't have to be careful. You can do that real quick. Just go zip right up through there because your heavy body paint will cover that up. And then there's a line. You can see that line. So you can kind of drag that down that line that divides the legs. And that's all you got to do with that. And then we'll go around the ears and the face a little bit. So Beth, are you serious? I was eating some earlier downstairs, and I was thinking, gosh, I wish I would have grabbed some of those. Which, not that I guess I could have sat here and eaten them while I was painting, but that's what I was thinking about. Oh, dear. Mark loves peanut M&Ms, so I always buy peanut for him. I like both, but I usually tend to eat more plain than I do peanut. But what I have, I'm out of plain, so right now, all I have out on the counter is peanut. So, that's what I was eating. And I love the pastel ones. They're so pretty. Okay, so I'm just going to start down through here and do a better job at that and go back and catch that and just go around, work around his face. We'll do a little bit of dry brushing on him as well. But we're just going to come up. And like I said, you don't have to be super neat about it because that overlaps down on his head, that furry. I keep calling it fur, and it's not fur. Not fur. But I keep saying it wrong. Okay, so now I'm going to go a little bit in that corner, or point. Let's see. And then we need to do sky gray. No, that's it. We need gray sky. I had the wrong one. So I'm just going to use gray sky. Well, wait a minute. What did we decide? Please. Thank you, Amy. I kept going, that is not right. Primitive seems to win. You know what? Okay, it's fine. I should have done that in brown then. Well, we have to switch off here in a minute anyway, so... Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this one in green and or gray, and I'll show you why in a minute. And we'll switch the other one. So I'm just doing his tail, just giving it some shadowing there, and I'm going to do the inside of the ear. And then we'll blush that, but I still want that gray in there. I need a smaller flute brush, angle brush. So I'm just going to line that in there, line that in there, and then take it down a little bit. Okay, and then the blush will take care of the rest of that. So I said we'll use brown, and we will. We'll switch it up, but I'll show you why. Good night, Missy. I'll show you why that I didn't go ahead and do it on this one. Because I'm going to show you how to add the heavy body acrylic and all that. But obviously it wouldn't, you have to let it dry. So I already painted one and let it dry. So when I get to this part, I'll switch sheets. If that makes, it probably didn't make any sense what I just said. Okay, so we're going to take our little 1/4 inch stencil brush. And I'm going to do this. Just put a little bit of this cottage rose. And I'm just going to get my stencil brush in there and make sure I use a dry paper towel because I don't want my stencil brush to get wet. And I'm just going to really scrub it off. So it just takes a little bit in there, but a little bit makes a big difference in how his ear looks. You can kind of pull it or tap it, whichever you want. But he just starts coming to life just with little bits of color. I have a little bit of paint in there that I should have scratched out. So then you kind of can gauge how far down that you think his fleece will come down, like how far that will come down. So This one, it came down to about yay far down his ear, so that's how I'm going to kind of gauge that again. And I'm just going to, let's see, put him about right here, kind of at the bottom of his ears. That's how I'm kind of gauging it. I'm just pulling that and making more of an oval. And I'm going to pull it back to me just because I can't get my head under the camera so I can get these right. It's hard to do that when I can't get over top of it. Okay. So, I'm going to do that. And then I took my little disposable eyeliner brush and I just went down here and I put, just for like the nose area, I just put these little tiny marks like that. And then I immediately kind of smudge my finger over it, kind of to dull it down a little bit, or you can tap it with your baby wipe. I didn't want them to be like white, but I did add them. Maybe I should have just used gray, but that's how I did it on my other one. I was trying to rub them off a little bit. So I want them to be kind of scant, I guess. So I just did that. And then I'm going to take my liner, or this little eyeliner, and I'm going to go up and around and just add some squiggles and lines and kind of frame out the face like that. That'll get covered up above that, but I didn't have enough paint on there. But I thought that it looked good with the white around it and kind of helped complete its face, I guess. So we also go right around the ear area. So it's really a pretty quick to do the painting part. It doesn't take long at all because you're going to cover up a lot of stuff with the heavy body acrylic. Okay, so he looks kind of funny right now, but he will look better. So we usually do a black eye with a white dot, and we're just reversing it. So this might need to be bigger, I don't know. So we'll switch off now and I'll show you. Well, I guess I still need to show you on this body first. I keep getting ahead of myself. You can also, on his legs, just kind of go down and do the same thing with that. Just do some squiggles and straights. And it kind of helps his legs stand out a little bit. And then where that line is, there's a line engraved in there, so I also kind of pulled there. All right, so now you can mix this with white, or if you're going to paint it a color, you can leave it it's kind of a grayish color. You can leave it the color that it is. I usually just put it, on a foam tray, which I'm trying to grab. So I usually just mix it on that, but I'm going to mix some for a piping bag. So I am going to put it in this little container for right now. And I also was going to do this right as I was waiting to go live. As I was sitting here, and then I ended up wasting a bunch of time trying to find my event. But I have a big bottle of this. I've had it for a couple years. The one I linked in my Amazon store is smaller. It will last you a long time. It's like, I think it's like $9 for a thing of it. But it is so nice because you can just literally make it any color you want. Like you just add whatever color of paint that you want to it. So that's in the Amazon store, but that's if you want to screen paste that or screenshot it. There's a lot of different kinds, and just like everything, they're all a little bit different. That one I know is really good because I've used it for a while, and it works really well. So I'm just going to add a little bit of white paint to this and then just stir it a little bit. So the other step I'm going to show you is I'm going to take an icing bag, just a pastry, I call them icing bags. It's just a clear bag. Now, you can, like, these tips are usually like 99 cents. They're not expensive at all. So I like to use a number 2, and you can just drop those right in a bag just like I did and then cut the tip. You can even just cut the tip real tiny and do it without a metal tip, but I like to use a metal tip. But like, you can do that and use it like that. The only thing, and I do that a lot, but the only thing is if you get a clog and you can't really just take it apart and try to get it out. So if you want to, you know, be able to undo your bag if you do get a clog, if you use a coupler, it's a little bit more convenient in case you get like something stuck in your paint. But I'll keep this in a container or a freezer bag. Freezers keep better than storage, and it'll stay for a long time. And I use them whenever I want to do something with heavy body paint. So I did want to show you kind of the process of that. So I just stick it in there. I need to leave some to work with, but anyway, that's how I make the swirls on it. So then you can just work it down. You can mix up as much, you know, more than that if you want, but that's a good amount to be able to squeeze with. So while I'm just going to put a baby wiper on that so it doesn't dry out in the tip or anything while we're working. So I might not have left me enough. I might need to make some more. But anyway, now we'll just start slapping it on the wood, and that will go fairly quick. So since we're going to paint this, you don't technically have to add any color to it at all. You can just use it leave it that grayish color. So I did white earlier today, so I guess that's why I was going ahead and squirting it in there. So let me get my tray. Now I'm just going to put it out on this just so you can see how I pick it up and use it and stuff. Okay, let's start with that and see what we get. All right, now for the fun part. I'm trying to keep my mess out of the way here. Okay. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go in with a little palette knife. And I linked this set when we did the sheep blocks. And that same set is still on Amazon, so I put it in the Bunny Bash. Because it's only like $4.97, which is like a really, really good buy. It's for 5 of them. I think it's 5 pieces, and that's shipped to you for $4.97, $4.87, something like that. So I'm just taking my knife, and I'm just really slathering it around. And so when I come down here to the bottom, I just kind of push it, so it almost just goes over the edge a little bit. Just kind of work it along there, and you can just keep moving it. You kind of start in the center and move out. And then when you get down to this leg area, I kind of like to make, I kind of push it so it stays and doesn't pull back and just leave a paint line. And just kind of make you a little scallop pattern across there or something so it doesn't look just straight. And then you can go back still and swirl around and do some stuff. I'm just trying to get it laid in here first. So you just keep working it up. And so on the tail area, I did try to stay pretty close to just the line. I didn't try to overlap that a lot. So let's go, just kind of push it toward it, and then the rest of this I'm just kind of swirling around. So just keep working it back out and picking up more whenever you need it. You can have a baby wipe. I always have a baby wipe, but you know, just kind of if you need to wipe anything or correct anything. So there's the front legs, just kind of swirling that around. Okay, so this area, what I did today, and I forgot to do this, I kind of marked like this. I took a pen and kind of marked. You can kind of tell, kind of down through here, starting here, that lump type area that sticks out on the front is how that head attaches on there. So you can kind of just avoid that part. And then the ear part's going to go in here, and I'll show you how we're going to make provisions for that. So now at the top, I'm going to push that over the edge a little bit. Kind of just let it go out over the edge. So now, once you get it all covered, you can go back and push some ridges and like push a swirl here and there, especially if you're going to leave it like this. So when we did the sheet blocks a couple weeks ago, we just left that texture on top, and they look super cute that way. It will totally look great. So if you want to do that, just take it back in and, you know, swirl around places. Kind of go both ways. And it dries and it looks really cool, especially when you go back over and hit with the palette knife, and it'll pick up those raised areas. So that's what we're going to do with the body. So now with the head, we're just going to pick up a big clump of it, and I'm just going to kind of set it down near the top, and then just start working it down. And same thing, I'm just going to kind of push it down in little swoops. The fleece looks like it's coming down. Not even, but you know. And you can push that out over the ear a little bit, just so it looks natural. Okay, and then turn it back this way and just keep pushing it down till you get all that area full. But it looks so cute on his head. Now his head, you come back up to the top and just push it to the edges, and then you can swirl it and push it wherever you need it to go. So you could do the same thing, swirl it around, and then he has a neat little head. Okay. Yeah, you want him to look really woolly, so you can swirl that around. And like this looks like it's a little bit straighter than I want it to look right there. So I'm going to push that out a little bit. So you just kind of look at it and see what you think. Okay. Do I have any questions, or are you all good? You can wait and add your eyes afterwards too if you would rather do that. You can definitely do that. Okay, so now that we have this part done, this is the next step. And it's, I don't, you might have a better way to do it, but this is how I did it. So hang on, I can see right now that I missed a little place right there. Okay, so wipe my thing off. So that's where his head goes. So I'm going to go ahead and set it in there right where that's going to glue down. And I'm just going to push it down. And that's going to indent the place and kind of leave an area for me to be able to see where that is going to go, set in there. And then I'm just going to take a baby wipe and swoosh off the back of that. Just wipe it back off. And then lay that aside. Okay. And I also want to make sure no, I didn't. I thought maybe I might have got my finger in that. So now you can see where that's going to lay in there. You can see you just make a good indentation in there. And you can you can kind of scrape that down if you want. You don't have to really wipe it out. I just glued on top of it. But that's how we're going to do that. So now we're going to take our piping bag and we're just going to make swirls. They're not going to be perfect. Some of them might not be clear connected. They might look a little wonky, but in the end, it all comes together fine. So don't like stress over that. I mean, I didn't. I guess that's how I feel about it. So I just started, since it's as new, I'm going to start my flow. And like I said, this is a number 2 tip, and you can get those at Hobby Lobby. You can get them anywhere. Michael's, Walmart. So I'm just going to make a swirl. I'm just going to start somewhere and just make a swirl. And I made bigger ones and smaller ones, and I just kept filling in areas. So I just kind of went this way and that way, and that's what I did. So you're going to come up to that ear area, but it's not any, I guess you could, it's like kind of like polka dots. You can get kind of hung up like, oh no, that one wasn't totally perfect, and it's fine. You can put some smaller ones in to fill up a place, but you're just creating those swirls. I said squirrels. Good night. I think I've been up since 6 o'clock and I'm like, I'm tired. I'm sure lots of you have been up since 6 o'clock though. It's a beautiful day here. Okay, so then like there's a little area down here, so I'm just going to put like, almost like a little swirl. And I go back and try to fill in those places. And we'll have some points sticking up, and I'll go back and kind of knock those down. But it's kind of fun to do. It's kind of fun to just swirl around in it, and just make him look all woolly. But I do try to make bigger ones and smaller ones. So like I'll make a bigger one down here, little one there. So I just get it all filled in. And then you can just let it dry. Like overnight's probably best. I turned my oven on and let it heat for a few minutes, and then just turned it off and sat mine in the oven because I was in a hurry. But you go back after you get done, and you'll see little places you might want to fill in. But that's all. That's all you do. It's pretty cool. Yeah, couplers, like, yeah, you can get them at Walmart, Monica, in the icing section and the baking section or whatever. They have them at Hobby Lobby. You can get them on Amazon. They're really, I mean, usually about 99 cents or so. So now I'm coming down to this one. I'm going to kind of tilt it up and kind of try to follow, let that swirl come down around its head, kind of how I did that. And then kind of, hang on a minute. Put another swirl there, so they're not just in a row. I loved how his head looked when I got done. I thought it looked, I started not to do his head, and I'm like, oh no, it'll look funny if I don't do its head. And then I really liked how it looked when I was done. But it's like very forgiving, so you can just tap down places or whatever that you don't want to look that way. So like this comes out a little bit, so you can kind of take your tip and move it back in a little bit if you want, or you can make the other side even come out. So that's what you do, and then it just dries. The head took a little longer to dry than the body because I think I had whipped it up a little higher. But you can go back, you can let it set if you're just working there in the house. You can let it set maybe for a half an hour, and it'll kind of start to get a skin on top, and you can go back and very easily just touch any of those little peaks that you have, and it'll tap down without getting on your finger. Or you can just knock them down with your finger or the end of a brush. But I think it's easier if you just let it set a few minutes. Also, sometimes if you go to palette knife or dry brush over it, it'll kind of knock them off sometimes too. So don't let that worry you. But then, so that's where we're at. So that's how you do that. So now I'm going to switch off and use the one that's already dry, because obviously I couldn't, I wouldn't have been able to show you the rest of it. So I'm going to set that one clear out of the way so I don't end up hitting it and messing it up. So this one's all dry, and you can see that some of those peaks are on there. So, but this one is not near as full as the one I just did. I think I didn't leave as much space on it. And none of them are going to look alike. So this is what I did, and I don't know that you have to do this, but I wanted this one white. So I painted all over white, even though it was already white. After it dried, I base coated all over it white, kind of like I just was, I don't know. I thought it made it look like it was more one piece. I don't know how to explain that. It kind of, I felt like it fused it all together or something. If you understand what I'm saying. So then with this one, I'm going to use light buttermilk to make him more like creamish, primitive-y looking. But I already did his tail white, but we'll remedy that really quick. I'll just go back in and touch that, and then we'll also have to refloat it a little bit. I also have buttercream, which is a little more creamier than that. I don't know. Oh, it's probably fine either way. It's a little creamier. But this is fun too. I think it's fun doing the swirls and all that, but then it's fun to bring it the rest of the way to life, I guess. So I'm just going to use just a flat brush, and now I'm going to paint it. I'm just going to slop it on there, like really no, you don't have to be neat at all. But I sort of felt like it just all kind of made it look, I don't know, more sealed all together or something. But I liked how it looked, even though, and it also, even though I added white paint to it, it still looked a little bit of a grayish white. So I thought the white made it brighter as well. So, but that could be a step that you could skip if you didn't want to do that. So you kind of drive it down in those little areas. So what do you think of that technique? Do you think that's fun? I thought of that when we were doing the stencils, and thought, oh, that'll be so fun to do the bigger sheep stencil that way, which I still am going to do the bigger one online with you all, because I was going to do it as a sign, a spring sign. So anyway, you can be really messy when you do this, because it really doesn't matter. I mean, you don't want it globbed in there, but you can just kind of go every which way, I guess. I do have a lot of paint in that, and I probably had way more than I needed, but it's all good. It's so swirly down underneath there that you really can't tell whether it was, that it wasn't. If you do have a glob, you really can't tell it. So I love the head, though. I think it's so cool because it looks really curly. It just looks really curly. Nice and woolly. So I'm going to make sure I turn it up, since it's a different color, and make sure I get those edges. You love it? It is really fun, Pam. I just looked up and saw your comment. It is fun to do, especially if you're doing several at a time. I just think it's fun. So maybe if you have the sheep stencil and you have this, you could all play in the heavy-bodied paint all at the same time, and then let them dry. So just got a little bit down there, which is why you always keep a baby wipe. We'll wipe it right off. Now I'm going to take this little liner, and like if I was doing white, I probably wouldn't have to do this, but since it's a different color, I don't want that shining white underneath there, so I'm just going to run that along that edge and clean that head up a little bit. Okay. Make sure we get all of it, and then we are ready to move on. Alrighty. So now he's cream. Okay, so let's dry him real quick. Okay, let me look over here and see if I have any questions. Marty, I hope you do try it. It is really fun. Oh, a little bit of glitter would look good on that. Yeah, I like cream and black together too. It looks really fun. That would be a good idea, Carol, to do on Easter egg, like do different patterns on it. Oh, Sue, I didn't even think of that for a beard on a Santa. What a great idea. Remind me. You guys have to remind me of that. That would be so fun. I never thought of that. Oh, Bonnie, I'm glad. Yeah, Bonnie, you've been cranking out the projects. I told her one day I was envious because she always gets so much done. Okay, so now we're going to go in and float. Do some floating. So we're going to use brown. And let me see, what color of brown should we use? Let's use espresso. Let's give that a whirl. And I just dropped this little brush, and I dropped one end and that end. So it got paint on both ends. Okay. So we're just going to use the brown. I cleaned that little brush and laid it on my palette, and it rolled right back in the paint after I just cleaned it up. Okay, so we're going to use brown. And since I had already done this one in gray tones, I am going to sneak back in here and kind of lay a little brown in there to make him a little warmer. He looked a little cool. I'll put some brown in for him. And then we need to do the tip of that tail, kind of brown. Okay, so now we're just going to go around the outer edges, and it's bumpy and lumpy, but it's all right. You just kind of move it around. You're not going to be floating smoothly, but you kind of still just follow the line, and you can tap it with your finger here and there if you need to, because we want to pick up that outline. But it's a very rough outline. But you can tap places with your finger if you think it's picking up too much, or just keep your baby wipe there. So like I can tap that down on that back end. And it looks like it's a little bit bold at first, but by the time we highlight the swirls and stuff, it'll all kind of come together there. So you kind of come down, get that bottom edge of that. But just that little bit of float work around the edges, doesn't that change it so much? You can use any kind of brand of heavy body. Who just asked me that? Sherry. But this is what I like the best. It really makes, some of the heavy body paints aren't really very heavy body, and some of them are expensive if you get the really good heavy bodied ones. So I had this in my Amazon list. It's modeling paste. It's a really good kind of modeling paste, and it's really thick, and I just add that to any color of paint. And any color of paint you add it with, like you saw me do earlier in the video, it will make that paint a heavy-bodied paint, and it's just really cool. I've had that jar for a couple years, and I usually don't have to mix up a ton of it at a time like I did with this, but you'll have it for a long time, and it's just handy to have because you don't have to go buy all the tubes. Now, I have several tubes of heavy body acrylic. Well, I bought a lot of it when Doris went out of business, and but it just depends on what you're doing. But when I discovered this, I love it because then I don't have to worry about if I have that color or not. Okay, so there's the body. I'm going to tap that ear area down a little bit. Okay, so then we're going to go up and get under that edge on his head part here. Kind of go around. I'm going to tap up under some of those too. Gosh, I think the Santa beard idea is so cute. I didn't even think of that. I love to play in icing, so I'm doing stuff like that all the time. And so, yeah, I use this backling stuff in the fake bakes with all the tips, and so I'm like, this would be really cute. Okay, so there, just when you do that, it even looks, like I said, so much better. Cute, huh? Okay, so now on our sheet blocks, we mostly just use a palette knife and hit those areas because we didn't want to muddy down in because we weren't real high off of, our texture wasn't real high, and a dry brush probably would have not picked up, it would have picked up way more than just the peaks. So this is pretty high, so we can kind of use a little of both. So our pack of dry brushes that we use for so much stuff comes in so handy. I'm gonna put a baby wipe over my excess so it doesn't dry out, and I can add that to my icing bag. Okay, so I'm gonna get my paper towel. I'm gonna get some of my espresso brown, and I'm really gonna upload it, offload it. I really want it to be dry and make sure that paper towel is dry. And then I'm going to go over the head and just kind of lightly go over it. You can tap down in it, and it can go down some and then kind of swirl around. Same with this. First, we're just going to kind of go over it. And then you can come back to your paper towel and try to pick up paint from there. And then if you need to reload, do that. But I like to go back to the paper towel if I can. And then when I start running out of stuff, I'll go back and load again. Okay, so I'm just going to go over those. I'm going to give it a little dry brush down the tail there too. A little bit in his ear. So now I'm going to tap up and down so I get down in between those raised places some. Okay, so you can see how that picked up on our swirls. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back side of my palette knife. I'm going to dip that in the brown. And I'm going to come back over here and tap around because I'm going to take a lot of it back off again. It's better to start out too light than too much. So kind of tap around and then just kind of hit around on it. And you'll get a feel for it. You know, like at first, you're kind of like maybe a little bit nervous because you don't want to put too much, so just start really light. And then as you get a feel for it, then you can tap back in. But see, it'll pick up places a little darker than your dry brushing did. So you just do it to your liking, like how much you want it to be, how bold you want it to look, I guess. But you can kind of turn it a little bit. And then you need to do his head. You can come up on that toe if you need to get down in a smaller place. pretty cool. That would be cute, Ronnie. Yeah, that would be cute. Do an all black sheep, that would be a good idea. So that's how it comes out looking like for the more primitive version of it. I'll make sure I wipe that off. So now he needs spattered. So I'm going to spatter with cream and some black. I generally use white, but I'm going to use cream. Let me get my glove on here. So what do you think? Do you think it looks cute? I don't know, Connie. If I did it black, if I did a black sheep, I would think I would do its face gray. Like maybe a darker gray. Ooh, I see lots of hearts. That makes me happy. That means some of you liked it. Okay, so I'm glad you like it. Where's my toothbrush? Okay, so I'm going to get my toothbrush wet and give it a little swirl in that cream. And then kind of press it into that. And then I'll test it here. I don't want it to be too wet because my spatters will spread out too much. So, let me get a paper towel. Lay it on there. Okay. And then I'm going to cover its eyes so I don't get spatter up around there. I'll spatter my whole hand. I probably need to, I don't like it right around the eyes because I don't want the eyes to look confusing. So I generally try to cover that. So let's do it that way. And then his legs, do some legs. I keep looking like I really spattered his little face. So now I'm going to rinse that brush out and go into the black. Well, actually, I'm going to do black and brown. I'm going to swirl around in the brown and then swirl around in the black. So it's kind of a dark brown. See how good we're flicking with that. So then I'm just going to spatter it. Nothing beats a good spatter. Yep, so there we go. Let me hit it with this real quick so I don't smear anything. Okay, so I used a black bell on the other one, and you could still use the black bell, but let me see something here. I wasn't sure if I had any up here, but I do. I just thought of something. So these bells came from Hobby Lobby, and I have the pack. I bought another package just so I could show you what they look like in the package, but they were gold to begin with, but I spray painted them flat black is what I used. And because I didn't want them to be gold, so I did it flat black. But so that you could use the black bell, but I thought of this, and I'm not sure what it'll look like, but I'm going to use the scrubby brush, and I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to dry brush on this and see what this looks like. If you want it to look a little I don't know, more primitive, I guess. I'm going to kind of tap around. I want some of the black to show through, but I'm going to tap around on it. And then I'm going to take some cinnamon, see what happens here. I'm going to take some Mod Podge. I did not plan to do this. I'm just going to town here. So I'm going to take a little bit of the matte Mod Podge. And I'm going to get back in that brown again. And I'm going to tap around on it with the Mod Podge. This is how I used to do grunge candles, so I would think you could do it on a bell. And then I'm going to just sprinkle some cinnamon on it. Or a lot. I probably should have pinched it on. There. There we go. Just making a mess over here. I'm going to kind of let it adhere a bit. Okay. And then I'm going to take some of that Mod Podge again and just kind of tap around on top of that cinnamon. You could probably use a little bit of instant coffee in there too, if you wanted it to look grubbier. Sorry, I went clear off the beaten path here. So it will look a little bit funny because it won't be all the way dry, but when it dries, that white will be clear and it will look like a little grungy rusty bell, I think. Like I said, I used to do my tea lights like that. I would grub them. I had a grubby recipe that I would send out with my tea lights so you could grub them up. So you could make a grubby tea light. I can do that tomorrow with you. I could hop on sometime and show you how to paint the tea lights or how to grub up a tea light. So, ooh, it's hot. Metal gets hot. Okay, I'm sorry. You guys are probably like, can we not stick to the program here? Oh dear. Okay. Back onto the main road. I don't have the package in here. I have it. I bought a package just because I'd emptied my package out, but I'll show you a picture of it. If I could have Mark get the bag. It's in my office area. But that's what it looks like. The heat gun kind of made it a little bit raised up, but that will dry all clear. It's still hot, but it looks pretty cool. It's grungy looking. Okay. So, I also forgot to tell you this. If you're going to put a flower, like on this one I put a flower, so while that was still wet, I took my finger and just indented a place right there so I could kind of sink the flower down in. But you don't have to. You can glue it on top if you even want to use a flower, but you don't have to by any means. So we're going to use jute on him since he's a little grungy. But I just ran the jute through the top of the bell. I like how that bell turned out. That was pretty good. Pretty good little rust up job. Can you see that? I know it still looks a little bit white because it's not all the way dry, but it looks pretty cool. Do you like it? Do you like the rusted look? You think the flower sets it off? Okay, so I'm still planning to use a flower, but I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I have some white flowers, which does not clearly work, but we're going to fix that. Hold on. I don't want all these little points on that showing. It gets a little bit too pointy. So I didn't take my finger and mash that down, but it will still work. So I just tied that, and now I'm just going to tie a bow. My fingers look awful, you guys. Cinnamon, glue, paint. I love how these little bells, I think they have the cutest little sound to them. So I'm just tying a bow. And then we'll cut it off. So yeah, in with all the bells at Hobby Lobby, where all the bells are, there was just a package of them. I think there were like 40 in a package. And, did I forget to bring my glue up? Man. man. I forgot my glue. Okay, I'm gonna put a dot. I don't use super glue to glue this. Hot glue. I use wood glue, and I left it down on the table. I should have another one up here, but I don't want to have to dig for it the whole time. Oh, here's one. I was gonna say, I usually always have like 3 or 4 bottles. So let's glue his head on so we can get a good idea of, to pull the dry glue out. We can get his head set, maybe. Come on. My other one was already flowing good, and this one's not. Shoot, I'm sorry. I gave it to Mark to use because he was attaching my bases for me, and I left it. He brought it back in, sat on the table, and that's where I left it. I'll just take the lid off. Plan B. I just wanted to be able to show you how to glue the bell on. So I just smear some wood glue in there. You probably don't need that much. But then I kind of just swirl it around and then set that down in there. And just hold it. That grabs fairly quick. That's a really good glue. Okay. So get that pressed on there. And then this, I do not want a white flower. So you could use a color if you would want. We could definitely use a color. You could use a peach color. Or, you know, you could use whatever. But this is what I like to do when I'm doing something more primitive-y like that. You can get in the cream and you can just tap around. It's just like the bell. You can paint the bells to match any color, but you can also paint these paper flowers. So if you have the white ones, if you don't want to spend money on all the colors, then just get the white ones and paint one if you want them, whatever color you want. So now I'm going to get in the brown and just let the brown tip some of the tips. So it just ends up to be a grungy little flower. And you could even throw a little bit of that. I have brown on my brush still, but I tapped it in the color we used in the ears, and you can even tap a little bit of that in there. And then you can just glue that onto his head. So, but I kind of want him to stay primitive. I don't want him to get real, I don't know, I don't want him to look real bright. I don't want him to look real bright. That didn't sound right, did it? I don't want him to look stupid. So, but you can tap, like if you feel like that isn't showing up enough, you can definitely tap some more pink in there. So, like that. So now, I'm just going to take my glue gun, and I'm going to put it right, just the glue right out on that edge. And then take that and just stick it right up underneath there, the knot of that bow. And just hold it for a minute. Pretty cool, huh? And there he's cute. Cute, cute, cute. So I will paint. I won't do it now because like I don't even know what time it is. I'm sure we're way over an hour. Covered a lot of ground. But like I would paint, you glue the 2 bases together. And I would paint this, you know, the same color we did the sheep body. And then, depending if we want to grunge the candle, which I think is what I'll do. And I'll pop on sometime tomorrow. It'll be during the day. And I'll grunge a candle with you, a tea light with you. And I'll paint one. I love the painted ones. I love to plaid them. You guys know I love that. So, but I'll grunge a candle. So, if we do... the base will be the buttermilk color. So I will either do like polka dots or I can plaid it. Like I like to do stuff on it. Even though this candle is plaided, I wanted something real subtle on that. So I did the dots. Like I used the polka dot stencil the random polka dot stencil. And that was on that stencil list. But that's what I used on that. You could also use that little flower. But you can do all kinds of fun things with it. But it's fun to add a little pattern. So, but anyway, that was fun. I love the bell. The heat gun really did almost bubble it up a little bit. It looks really, really cool. So, oh well, it was fun. I know it wasn't near as fun without Megan, Clatter, and Polly over here shouting out stuff, but it was fun. It was fun to create with you all. So fun to do different things. So let me set that one down and then I'll show you. Like, so that's how different they look. So one's very, very white. Oh, glue the feet to the sand. Well, I was going to wait and paint this later because I don't want to take the time to do it because we've already been on here so long. But I'll paint it buttermilk and then stencil it. I'll stencil some kind of pattern on it. I'll probably do that live tomorrow when I pop on tomorrow afternoon and do the votive. But yeah, it glues in front like that. That's what Megan was saying. Like it glues, you glue that on top and then it glues right in front. And that's what creates your base for the holder. So I wanted to show you. So what do you like better? Do you like the more primitive or do you like the white and gray? Oh, I'm sorry, Megan. I thought you were telling me that I need to do that. But I did need to show that because I hadn't. No, I have him a bubble machine. I actually bought him one for summer. You like the primitive, Janice? A lot of you are saying both. Both. Oh, I like the Tealight stuff too. Like it was just a favorite of mine years ago. I did several things in a series and I just love it. But I think it's fun how you can take something and just by switching up the colors or like doing the bell or painting the flower, just all of it kind of changes it. So I use jute there, which is very more primitive. And then this is just the gray and white baker's twine, stuff. Laura, no, I get those. They're from in the scrapbook section of Michael's, or you can order them online as well. But I usually get them when I can use a coupon. So I have several different colors because I use them all the time. We used them when we did the sheep, like I added them, the sheep blocks that we did a couple weeks ago. If you missed that video, go back and watch that. That's fun. I tell you, there's a supply list for it in my link tree, and it holds a little gift card in the back, just perfect. But those are really fun to make out of a 1x3. So those are fun. Yeah, that does add a lot, doesn't it, Angie? So I think 30% off. I think they were like $4 and you get 24 of them. But I use them all the time. So if you didn't want like a bunch of colors, then you could get the white and just do like what I did and tap on whatever color. Then you can exactly color match stuff too. But that's what I do. I love the paper flowers. I have bigger ones too that I use and stuff. And then I like this baker's twine. That's what I use with the gray and black. So this is from Hobby Lobby though. I think it was a Paper Studio, so it's probably back in the scrapbook. And sometimes the wedding part has stuff like that too. So, it's small. It's the small one. I'll go back and look for sure. But I thought I put it on the. Well, I have the stencil list here. Let me look. I just put random polka dots B scattered dots. I know I got the small one. Because it's little. I got the smaller one in that. I tend to go towards the smaller sizes. But yeah, this list is in my link tree. And anything that's underlined is clickable. So if you just click on this, when you pull it up in link tree, it will take you to the stencil. And then I tried to note the sizes, but I didn't do it on the polka dot one. But I tried to put numbers and the sizes I got. But they're really fun. But that should be helpful. that list should be. But I use this, like we use dots on the project tomorrow night, and then I use the flower stencil on it too. They're just fun to add to the backgrounds and stuff. So, okay. Let's say, I don't have the package in here. I need to write a note of all the stuff that I need to do when I hop on tomorrow. Because I need to show you, I need the bell package. I'm trying to write so I don't forget. The bell package, and what else did you ask me? So I need to do a votive, and I was going to grunge it. I can't remember what else I was going to do, but I'm trying to remember everything. So, but the little cowbells, they were the only, like they had some bigger ones, and then they had a small package, and it has like 40 in it. So it's the only one, and you'll see them. They're gold, but they're in with just the rest of the bells. So, but Michael's is where I always get my paper flowers. Hobby Lobby might have them. I have just never looked, so I don't know. So Beth just said they had them at Hobby Lobby. Okay, so I didn't know that. So yeah, you can look, like I said, at Michael's. They're kind of in the scrapbooking area, so I would look there. But they're just really fun to use, and they don't look plasticky, and they don't look papery. They don't look, they just like look neat because they're very matte. So, oh, this was a primitive block I did when we did those sheet blocks. I did that after that, and I painted that flower. And I did like a primitive background. So it's just fun. I love to use the polka dot stencils with stuff. And I palette knife kind of the sides. Like I wanted it to look kind of grungy. So kind of fun. So anyway, I know I need to let you go. I really don't mean to keep you so long. But let's flip me upside down or upside right. And then I'll show you this. Upright again. Maybe you can see it better. So that's the one I did, and then that's the one we did tonight. So you can kind of see the difference. I have to jingle the bell. Monica, that coupler, you just, well, where's it at? You can just drop a tip down in there, or you can, when you get your bag, you can just get some disposable icing bags. You can also just open your bag and you drop the big white coupler part down in here and cut the bottom and then drop it in, and then the screw then you fit this up over it. I'll try to remember to show that again tomorrow. I thought I showed it at the beginning, but maybe I already had it done. I might have already had that done. So, okay. Well, I'm glad you liked it. Tomorrow, I think, is going to be your favorite. I think you're going to love it. Megan, do you think they'll love it? Connie Denzel. Okay, I did not see that. Thank you. I'm glad you told me that, because I need to write that on my note. Connie. And we'll pick a couple bunnies tomorrow night to give away. I just lost what I was saying. Oh, tomorrow night. Like, you do not want to miss tomorrow night. I had never done this before, and I loved how it turned out. And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Like, I really like it. So we're going to use a stencil, the Hello Bunny stencil that I have on the sheet, on the stencil list. It's the size small, so it's right there on the stencil sheet. So I unflip the camera when I flip myself back upside. So it's that one, it's small. So if you use that link, if you go into my link tree, and you'll find that link tree information at the top of my Facebook page, like where it has all my information. That link tree is always there. So you can go to that, go to the stencil list the stencils I like list, and we're using that stencil, and you're going to love it. I know you're going to love it. I showed it to Megan last night, and I think you're going to really, really like it. So anyway, I'm so glad she did too, Sherry. So, all right. So there, Megan just put the link tree up. So thank you. I'm glad you liked it. And I'm sorry I kept you so long. I'm sorry. So I'm trying to read messages real quick. Yeah, I think you're gonna like it, Bunny. You're gonna like it. So, all right. So thanks for joining me, and we got the tea lights out of the way. That's all the tea lights. So, and tomorrow night's a bunny, and then the next night is chick night. So Thursday night, the grand finale is chick night, and they are super cute, super cute. I love them, and there's so many different ways you can use them. So it's really fun. You're gonna love the next two projects, like major. Yeah, if you click on those links, that lets them know that I'm the one that sent you there. And oh, I forgot to tell you this. You can always use the code Being Creative with Miss. I think it's all caps. Being Creative with Miss, and you will always get a 15% off discount all the time. So like if you use that, you will always get a percentage off, 15%. Okay. Size of the sheep. It's in the. You mean the stencil? I don't know what you mean. All right. So I'll let you go. I don't know if you meant the size of this sheep or not. It is. If that's what you meant, he is. Well, let's see. 3.5, or well, he's almost 4. I guess 4 if you count to the top of his head, and then lengthwise he's comes out to the end of his ear, so he's about 4.5. So he has a bigger base on him than the other ones do, but there they all are. Cute, cute, cute. So, all right, I'll see you back tomorrow night with like an amazing project. So don't forget to tune in, and we will take this stencil and create a really cute bunny. So it'll be really fun. And then, no, Thursday night we're not using a stencil. It's just chicks. It's just a wood blanks, but they're cute. So I think you'll like it. So we've got a lot to look forward to. So I will see you back sometime tomorrow. I'm going to pop on and do a votive with you because I just don't, it's just hard to fit everything in. And then I'll be back on tomorrow night at 8 for our regular time for our projects. So be ready for some cuteness. See you then. Bye.